I see a lot of owners that just don't follow up when they get the lead. Like I'm like thinking like, why are you wasting so much money trying to get these leads in, but you're not trying to convert them as soon as possible? So just calling, or like, using simple automations, like, an auto responder, which is like an automatic email that they get after they opt in, or even an auto text. And these are something that you can do probably with most CRM systems. Like you can do it with FitPro Tracker, FitPro Newsletter. But follow-up is a big deal, and using automations like, FitPro Tracker, FitPro Newsletter. That's what I would recommend doing.
So you have a passion for fitness and the desire to start your own business, but launching a massively successful fitness business is extremely complex. The systems, operations, hiring, firing, coaching, sales, and marketing are critical to success. Where do you even start? This show will give you the answers. Here is Bedros Keuilian and Bryce Henson, your hosts of the Fitness Franchise Podcast, a show dedicated to helping fitness entrepreneurs launch and grow successful gyms.
All right, welcome back to the Fitness Franchise Podcast. We have another amazing episode today, as today's guest is a dear friend of mine, an amazing traffic buyer and marketing specialist. In fact, he is the digital marketing franchise business coach for the entire Fit Body Bootcamp brand. Now, he originally got his start in web development and transitioned over to marketing, where he then learned about effective marketing ad campaigns and successful sales funnels. Now, with a passion to make an impact in his franchisees' businesses, he has helped hundreds of fitness professionals succeed with their Facebook ad campaigns and ClickFunnels for the past 3+ years. He has also helped create brand awareness campaigns to help grow the Fit Body Bootcamp brand. And on top of that, he also runs the Launch Program, which is a 12-week grand opening marketing campaign that helps his new franchisees launch their gym locations successfully. Stevie, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bryce, how's it going?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, man.
Well, excited to tap into your marketing genius. Did I leave anything off on that intro?
No. That was perfect. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, I want to kind of dive in today about, you being a really successful marketer, a traffic buyer, which is some of the success that you've had with our brands. But before you do, kind of give us a little backstory. How did you get to where you are today, before being a CAP coach or a franchise business coach for a marketing team?
Yeah, man. So, I was actually, this is my whole personal life, and also like how I got to, working at FitBody, but it's going to be a long thing. But, so, I was born in the Philippines. I came to the States when I was 5, youngest of 7 kids. I was raised in Orange County. I went to school there, graduated there. I was just, a child of the 90s, skateboard, ride bikes during the day, watch Nickelodeon at night, things like that. But I really had a passion to want to help people because my mother was a nurse. So through her, I learned compassion, and I really wanted to become a firefighter. So that was my whole goal right after high school. So after high school, I joined, a fire program at my local college. From there, I learned so much about fitness and, how strenuous and physically and mentally draining the job is. And so, I really wanted to be a firefighter. So that's where I learned a lot about fitness and how to, take care of myself, things like that. But unfortunately, right after EMT school, I actually broke my ankle. So I had to drop out of the program. So during that time, I became, it was really rough. But during that time, I became, depressed, and, basically all the physical gains that I had during the program were basically like going away in front of my eyes. So during that time, I had a lot of time to think about like what I really wanted to do, if this is something that I really want to do. And so then I kind of realized like I had actually a gift and a passion working with computers, things like that, because if you were like growing up in Orange County, especially if you're Asian, like you played a lot of PC gaming. So that's where I kind of learned a lot of my technical expertise, building computers, things like that. And then like, luckily enough, I'm able to like grasp these concepts like pretty easily. So I'm like very technical. So using like that technical knowledge and expertise that I got kind of made me go into like the digital marketing route, or even the digital field route. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like in like the tech world, but I knew I wanted to be there. And so since I didn't end up like going through with the FIRE program, I ended up just learning about like web design. I even taught myself how to code HTML, CSS, things like that. I learned different platforms, WordPress, basically basic things that you can learn online that can help you build a basic website. And from there, I kind of just like started building websites for, my family, my friends, things like that. And then I eventually started doing like some side business, doing it on the side on top of like me working a normal job. And then from there, I actually wanted to, actually get some experience working with the company. So from there, I worked with basically the top meal prep company in Orange County, what's called On Season Meals. And basically I came on board, thinking I was just going to, build them a website, but they actually already had a website, but everything from there was just like, I can't say it, but yeah, like the website and everything looked terrible. They didn't really have a social media presence, things like that. So that allowed me to kind of research what I needed to do to make that company successful. So I learned SEO. I learned, I kind of dived into my first time into digital marketing was actually working with Google Ads, so Google AdWords. And then from there, I don't know if they still do it, but we actually had to go through like a Google AdWords certification to get to learn like the platform and stuff. So that's like my first foray into digital marketing. So on top of doing web design and then building an e-commerce platform and also running Google Ads, that's basically where I got my start in digital marketing.
And how long did you work for the meal prep company? Actually, that's how I know how we first met. You
right.
came to my first Fit Body Bootcamp location. But how long were you at that role? And I guess what was the big kind of takeaway learning experience that you had?
So I was there for actually about 4 years. So I started actually from the very bottom. Like I would table, like I would go to gyms, like such as your gym, and do tabling and like, do sampling and all that stuff. And then I was basically like a man of like all trades. Like during that job, I did web design, I did like tabling, I did basically social media, all that stuff, taking pictures, all that stuff, and creating content. But that I learned a lot during my time there.
And 4 years you spent there, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So then probably segueing, that was probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that was your prior career, main prior career before kind of taking the leap of faith into Fit Body, is that right?
That's right.
Okay. So you had that kind of web development kind of experience, although a lot of it was self-taught. Is that why you kind of entered Fit Body Bootcamp on the web development team? And kind of talk about, you first getting, onboarded to Fit Body, what your initial experience in the web development, looked like, and then why did you transition to marketing?
So my first foray into Fit Body was obviously just you like visiting your gym. I got familiar with the brand there, and I searched to see if I could find a job there and hopefully work there. So that was my first foray into Fit Body, and then just my first position there that I got offered was obviously the web development department. And then from there, like I felt like my skills that I learned from my previous experience, like web design, all that stuff, kind of helped me transition very smoothly, just because like all the stuff that I learned there, I already kind of knew just based on like stuff I learned on myself and stuff that I was doing on the job. Just kind of helped me transition, that much smoothly. Yeah. And then as my transfer over to marketing, honestly, my experience in the marketing was just Google Ads. Like I didn't even know anything about Facebook or Facebook ads or even ClickFunnels. So but I knew that I wanted to learn it because that's really something that I wanted to know, because like for me, like I can't just be like doing one thing. Like for me, I just gotta like I always pride myself as a lifelong learner, so I'm always trying to learn different things. And so that opening in the marketing department kind of gave me that opportunity to grow myself. And I think it's really important that when you guys go through life or your career or anything like that, it's important that you really just got to keep growing as a person and also in your career, because that's ultimately what's going to get you to evolve into what you want to be. But yeah, the marketing opening really helped as far as like knowing like what the marketing field was, because I didn't really know anything beyond Google ads. So that was a lot. That was a big learning experience, and it was also a trial by fire kind of thing too, because I didn't know anything, and then I'm expected to learn all these different things that are coming at me very quick. And as you know, like the marketing field is always constantly growing with updates and things like that. So it was really hard to get into, but like with my expertise in web design and like previous experience, kind of just made that transition that much better.
Got it. Cool. Well, I'm excited to kind of dive in now to some of your insights as, a marketing franchise business coach, or CAP coach, which stands for Coaching and Profitability within the Fit Body Bootcamp brand. Before you kind of get into some of the strategies I'm going to ask you about, can you talk about just the importance of marketing, right? Like from your experience working with owners, that you've had a lot of experience with fitness professionals, helping them launch their business and continue to add leads to their pipeline, including my own locations. So talk to the audience who, are listening to this. They're probably passionate about fitness. They're potentially interested in opening a gym. Like, let's talk about the value and the importance of marketing really for the most successful owners that you work with.
Marketing is definitely something that you shouldn't neglect as an owner or someone even getting into, another field. It's basically your lifeblood. Without marketing, you're not going to grow. You're not going to get any profits, and you're going to ultimately lose your business. So marketing is something that you should always be doing at all times. I get on a call with a lot of owners, probably hundreds of owners, probably like most of the franchisees that we have now I've talked to. And I think the biggest thing that I see like the top owners doing versus, the owners that are just not doing anything whatsoever is just their follow-up in their organization, and also their willingness to learn. Just because like as an owner, you should always be, on top of your business as much as you can. Being organized, I think, is a very big deal. I think even like as far as like, knowing your profits, your loss, things like that, being organized in the way that you capture or, or get leads or purchases, like separating your leads from your clients, things like that. Just being organized that way in terms of like digital marketing, but also, continuing to learn or having a want to learn, because when you have that want to learn, you care about it a little more. So, having that that fondness for learning really helps as a successful owner. And also too, just being really proactive and being, and proactive about your business, because I see a lot of some owners really just don't know what to do, or they don't have that care and that want to run their business. Like they expect everything to be done for them, or they just don't do it. So that's what I see a lot versus a successful owner, someone that's proactive, willingness to learn, doing all these proactive work when it comes to digital marketing, versus someone that just expects someone to run their business for them.
Yeah, totally. Someone who's dialed in, kind of a growth mindset and open to learn. So actually, I'm curious, Stevie, that's a great segue, because how do you learn, right? And you talked about earlier that the marketing, digital marketing always evolves. There's something else. Like, how do you stay up to date? Like, where do you look to learn? Like, kind of talk to the viewers on that, so they have a good understanding of really what it takes in order to be successful.
So, I mean, we live in like a very fast-paced, high-speed world, and truth be told, you don't really need to go, to a college or a school even to learn stuff about digital marketing, especially digital marketing. Maybe like if you're looking for like marketing in a traditional sense, go to business school, learn all that stuff. But a lot of the digital marketing trends and all that is going to be online. So there's a lot of different websites that you guys can learn from. I believe one of them is called Markeco. That's a top marketing resource site. They're all into Facebook and Instagram ads. I learn a lot from them. There's also, you can literally just go on Google and just put digital marketing trends 2021 or something like that, and learn a lot. And usually the top websites are always going to be at the top of the search engine field. But just learning really online. You can. I mean, there's a lot of BS that you can wade through, but you'll know that when you see the reputable source that you can follow. But just being proactive online, learning from different resource sites, things like that.
So that in mind, and that's obviously a huge, a good recommendation, but what do you say to an owner that maybe, has passion, they have follow through, they want to be successful, but let's face it, there's a lot of other things in order to run a business. Like, what's the value of, hiring on a marketer or a franchise business coach that can help you with that? Because I'm curious, because I'm just trying to think for myself when I first started, there's so much to it. It's operation, the sales, the marketing, the follow through, fulfillment, HR. So what's the value of basically, connecting with a guy like you or a marketing firm that can really help with that effort, or a business coach in the marketing realm?
Well, yeah, apart from like the experience, because I myself work with a lot of owners, so I had that experience on like what the marketing trend is going to be like, and if you hire someone on, they're obviously going to have that experience because that's what they do. Whereas you yourself, if you're still like trying to entering the digital marketing realm, you don't really know where to start. Whereas these people already know what to do. I mean, like I said, I work with hundreds of owners myself. I'm sure a lot of digital marketing agencies do, so they kind of know what the trend is going, things like that. But also too, there's a lot of back end work that you need to do when it comes to digital marketing, especially on terms of what you want to do. Do you want to create a website? And you want to drive traffic to it, or do you want to just run lead gen ads on Facebook, things like that. So there's a lot of back end work that you need to do on top of just learning where where the market is going as well.
Yeah. Talking about some of the marketing campaigns and the strategy, we talked a little bit about kind of like some of that strategies that you execute for owners, but what would you say at the moment in time like are the best ad strategies for gym owners?
So for gym owner, pre-COVID, everything was good. Like as a marketer, like all my campaigns were doing well. I was getting a lot of purchases, leads, things like that. Post-COVID, or even like during COVID, man, like my 2020 happened, everything was a mess basically. So it's very hard to get straight sales online during that time, just because of the climate. Just because a lot of people are still, either afraid to go to gym, or they just don't have money to go to the gym. Yep. So a lot of things that I, talking with owners as well, that I learned from is, doing trials. Not necessarily sell LBOs, because like I said, it was very tough to sell during COVID.
What's an LBO?
An LBO is a low barrier. Sorry, it's a low barrier offer. So something like a 21 for 21 or a 28 for 28. Basically, a strategy where someone can pay for something to put some skin in the game. That way they can go to your gym and like experience your gym and your program, things like that.
Like try it.
But it's just very hard to sell those trials during COVID. So one of the things a couple of things that I saw that were working well were trials. So giving away like a 1 week or a 2 week trial. The reason why that was good is because, first people were, scared to go to gym. They don't know what it's going to be like, post-COVID or during COVID. And also the trial would also allow them to experience your gym rather than just them like throwing money blindly to your gym, which is not going to happen too often. Mm-hmm. But having a trial, allowing them to experience your gym, fall in love with the culture or your program, and hopefully once they do experience that culture and that program, they're more likely to convert. So that's why the trials were working so well, because one, it was getting people to actually sign up and then go to your gym and allow them to experience your gym. But that was one strategy that I saw that was working well. And then also another strategy that you guys can do is a giveaway. So I run the launch program. A launch program is a 12-week marketing campaign that we run for new owners coming on FitBody, and a couple tactics that we use there is the giveaway. I mean, that's basically probably the best way to get leads because everyone wants to opt in or win something, things like that, right? So that's best way to get leads, but you're also going to get those people that are just there to win it, but you will get those people that are interested in what you have to promote to them. YouTubers, streamers use this tactic to grow their user base. Some, like I said, some are in it for the rewards, and you will get people that do that, but you will get people that follow your content and grow. So a giveaway strategy was really good. The other thing too that I saw that I heard from owners that were working well were working with what you have. I'm a big believer in working with what you have. So something like a referral program, bring a friend or relative, to work out with you, and you get, you give them money or, a prize or things like that. So like a solid referral program, and also working with your leads too. And this kind of ties into being organized with how you guys collect your leads. So, working your current leads and, getting on the phone, calling them, texting them, things like that. Offer them a trial or offer them some sort of LBO. Those are some of the things that I know that kind of helped out during COVID.
All right, so Stevie, from what I understand it, from the different marketing strategies you just laid out, number one would be offer an LBO or a low barrier offer. So like a 28-day program, shortened time frame, not a long commitment, but it gives the opportunity for a prospect to try the program where then you as the owner can convert. The second would be a giveaway. So offering up a giveaway, you might get some tire kickers who are not actually interested because they just want to win, but there are many people that are actually interested in what you have to offer. The third strategy would be a referral strategy, basically incentivizing your members to kind of bring in new people, and then making sure that number fourth, you have monster follow-up, making sure you're organized and you're reaching out in a monster follow-up kind of fashion, talking to your prospects to overcome any concerns they have and then bring them back in the gym. So would you say those are the four strategies that you kind of talked about?
Yeah, I would also add to that. So instead of going for a trial, if you don't want to go with the LBO, what you can do is offer them a free trial. So doing like a free 1 week or 3 day or even a 2-week trial. So that's something that I would also recommend.
Okay, so that's the fifth strategy there. All right, next up, kind of transitioning, that you talked about some ad strategies or marketing strategies. What would you say would be some best practices for owners that are just getting started with Facebook advertising? Mm-hmm. Can you give some pointers, for a person like this just getting started?
Yeah, and I'm gonna go back to this. I've already said this before, but obviously just be organized. Obviously, like me working with a bunch of owners, I get to see into their CRM things like FitPro newsletter, FitPro tracker. So I know how they organize their leads, things like that. And I think, like I said before, like some of the owners that I know that are doing the best that they can are organized. So they organize their they keep their clients separate, their leads separate. That way, like when they actually do have to promote something, they can choose a group that they want to promote that promotion to, rather than including their members, things like that. So it's going to be a little muddied when it comes to communicating with your leads and clientele. So you really want to be organized on the way you collect your leads and also your clients as well. That way you can also keep track of how many clients you have, obviously, and you also have a lead sheet that you can always refer back to if you need to do a promotion or something like that. The second best practice that I would do is, I would also create a Facebook business manager, because if you do want to advertise on Facebook and Instagram, you will need a Facebook business manager. And basically what a Facebook business manager is it houses your ad accounts, and it allows you to, with those ad accounts, you run your ads on there, and you can also use their Facebook, their tools that can help you grow your business through their platform. So utilizing something like a Facebook Pixel, custom audiences, things like that. But really, the most important thing there is the Facebook Pixel, because what's going to help propel your business when it comes to using the Facebook platform. Basically, what a Facebook pixel does is it's something that you install on the back end of your website or your ClickFunnels, and it tracks actions from the people that are, connecting with the website, whether they're opting in or, they're checking out or, things like that. Because what Facebook does is it goes inside that Facebook pixel and it uses that data that's been collected there to help optimize your ads, to try to help your ads try to find the people that are performing the actions that you want on your website. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot more to Facebook Pixel, so I suggest that if you're new to Facebook ads, I would just suggest researching what a Facebook Pixel is. Also, too, not a lot of people know that Facebook offers education on their platform, similar to what Google does, but there's something called the Facebook Blueprint where you can actually look it up and you can learn about their platform and things like that. But I, as a new business owner, I would probably look into researching what a Facebook Pixel is. There's a lot more than what I said when it comes to the Facebook Pixel. One last best practice is following up. I see a lot of owners that just don't follow up when they get the lead. Like I'm like thinking like, why are you wasting so much money trying to get these leads in, but you're not trying to convert them as soon as possible? So a big thing is following up, whether it's just calling or like, using simple automations like, an auto responder, which is like an automatic email that they get after they opt in, or even an auto text. And these are something that you can do probably with most CRM systems. Like you can do it with FitPro Tracker, you can do Fit for Newsletter. But follow-up is a big deal, and using automations like, FitPro Tracker, FitPro Newsletter. That's what I would recommend doing.
Copy that. So that's a lot, and there's, as you mentioned, there's a lot to learn about these, platforms. What would you say, Stevie, kind of transitioning, because also not only is there a lot to learn, but there's a lot of changes that these platforms kind of create. So what would you recommend to an owner to how to prepare for the changes on Facebook or Instagram or any platform that they're actually driving marketing to?
Right. So Facebook will be releasing an update. They were supposed to actually release it earlier this month, but I think it's going to be pushed back. But basically, it's the iOS 14 update, which prevents people on the Apple platform to be tracked. So some of the things that you can do right now to prepare for the update would be buying a domain. So buying a domain, a domain is, google.com or, wikipedia.com. So buy a domain relating to your business. So if you have, orangefitbodybootcamp.com, buy that domain. But buying a domain and then also creating a pixel would be those two things that you can prepare for, because now on the Facebook ad platform, you can have multiple pixels on a domain, but since the iOS update is coming out, you're only limited to one pixel per domain. So I know a lot of owners right now, they don't have domains, especially if you use ClickFunnels. So I recommend you guys to buy a domain through, if you want to make it easier, I would buy it through ClickFunnels. And then once you buy that domain, you would need to add that into your Facebook Business Manager, and then verify your pixel to and then add that to your domain. It's a complex process. But you can, that's what's Google. That's why Google's there, right? So you can always look it up. But if you do have Ads Manager now, or if you do have a Business Manager now, there's a resource center right where you create your ads and actually tell you a step-by-step process on what you need to do. But those are the two top things that someone should be doing right now to prepare for the iOS 14 update.
Copy that. All right, next up, and this is a common question for gym owners that I receive, and I definitely know you do. And certainly I know you don't want to go through like a full-on techno babble, but I do think it is important to provide a little education specific to the Facebook platform on what's the difference between a traffic ad and what's the difference between a conversion ad.
Right. And, I personally, so there's a lot of different campaign objectives that you can do on the Facebook platform, and it's super confusing, but honestly those two are probably the ones that I use the most. So with traffic, you're more limited to getting people to do two specific actions, and that is to land on a landing page or clicking on the ad. So when you run a traffic ad, you're basically trying to get people to do one of two things: either land on the landing page or click on the ad itself. The thing with doing traffic is you're limited to those two actions only. Whereas if you go with the conversion route, you are open to much more than just doing landing page views or link clicks. With conversion when you run a conversion ad, you're actually telling Facebook that you want to target users that perform a specific action, whether that's opting in or buying or checking out. So really, those are the two biggest differences between a traffic and a conversion ad. If you're not really too sure on what to run yourself, I would even run both a traffic ad and conversion ad together side by side and see which one gets you the best conversions. But those are the two biggest differences between a traffic ad and conversion ad. And like I said, those are the two different campaign objectives that I use the most.
Copy that. And I know, like you said, there's a lot to it, right? But I know that's those two are always questions that we get. So thank you for providing some insight there. And I know that was a lot of valuable to our audience. Now, that said, kind of looking big picture, as these platforms kind of come and go and change, and certainly Facebook and Instagram are juggernauts. But from your perspective, in terms of social media marketing, where's the future? What does the next 5 years look like as it pertains to social media? Because there are other platforms. So I was just curious on what your kind of take on that is.
So honestly, I still think that Facebook and Instagram is going to be the main, platform that we're going to be using, especially if you work in the gym or fitness industry. I myself have researched different platforms to see, because I as a marketer, I always have to keep up on the current trend. So I'm always researching what's next. You might, what's big right now obviously is TikTok, but, even though that's big, that's not really where our avatar or the person that we want to target with our products. So even though TikTok is pretty much the most popular thing right now, it's not necessarily where you want to advertise. So I still see that the Facebook and Instagram still being a big deal, because that's where our audience is online. That's where they're checking their social media. They're not on TikTok or other platforms. But I've also heard other platforms like Pinterest and YouTube, and there's also, you can actually also advertise on like Hulu. I've heard that works well. So but like I said, I still think that Facebook and Instagram is going to be the way to go in 5 to 10 years. But things can change. A lot of things can happen, in the next 5 to 10 years. But I still think that our Facebook and Instagram is going to be the juggernauts.
Copy that. All right, Stevie, I'm curious. You've shared a lot of incredible knowledge about marketing, the industry in general, some very specific things about programs, and really the learning curve, which you continue to need to do, and really things change. What would you say is your zone of genius? Why have you been really, really effective and successful at being a marketer, and specifically for the niche of gym owners and gym businesses?
I think it's just me having the strength to or just being able to understand the back end and technicalities of a website or funnel, and most importantly, understanding the numbers and metrics of an ads. I work with hundreds of owners needing help on ads or their funnels, and most of the time, I already know what to look for, and I understand what I need to do to help them. So, and also too, I have a big background on being technical, web design, things like that allow me to kind of expand on my abilities. But I think just for me that's easy, technical and numbers, all that stuff kind of are very easy for me to understand.
That is right in your zone of genius, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So as we don't have so much more time, but I want to kind of transition to the lightning round, if you will. So, Stevie, obviously being in the same organization and working on the same team as you, I certainly have a good working knowledge, and you're a very interesting guy, to say the least. So I'm going to ask you right here, right now, today, Stevie, what are you most passionate about?
Man, honestly, apart from helping our franchisees, and I'm gonna get corny with this. And I've already talked to you guys about this all the time in our L10s, but I'm really into stocks right now. I'm into the GameStop movement. So basically, long story short, these hedge funds are shorting the GameStop stock. And they're hoping it goes down, but a couple of these like nerds found out that, hey, like, let's drive the price up. That way they have to cover their losses. So there's a big movement on it, but I'm really passionate about that. And look it up if you don't know what it is, but I'm really passionate about that. Apart from that, I'm also passionate about airsoft right now. So I don't know if you guys know what airsoft is, but basically you run around with fake guns, shooting each other with BBs. It's something that we did. We did a training on it. When we went through the kill house, when we had that work training. Yep. But that's really something I'm passionate. I know it's super corny and nerdy, but I like airsoft because like you're in your CQB environment, so you're close quarters combat, and you're like going through these kill houses, and you're kind of like thinking tactically, and you're performing under pressure. So I don't know, like that's kind of like what I'm into right now.
Hey man, love it. All right, next up, before the success that you've achieved, in your career specific to, buying traffic and becoming a really strong and expert digital marketer, before you kind of took that leap of faith and really expand on the success, from a professional perspective, what was the one thing holding you back that stood in the way, and really what you overcame? And the reason I'm asking is there's a lot of, audience that are interested in potentially taking that next step, launching a fitness business, but there's something in their way. So I want to kind of showcase what that was for you to provide some inspiration.
Yeah, I think for me, just a lack of belief and self-confidence in myself. So that was a big hurdle. And what helped me build my confidence was just to keep learning and doing what I need to do. Because if you're just going to sit back, guys, and, just wait for something to happen, it's not going to happen. So you need to constantly, if you're really passionate about something, you need to constantly be learning about it and doing it. And that way you build that confidence so you guys, can execute. Along with just building my confidence that way, like I also had the right people to give me support, because you really need to have that support system, the people that you trust, people that support you, so that you can push outside that comfort zone and, grow into what you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next up, specific and especially, I should say, in the marketing realm, you are in the business of really giving good advice to owners. Let me ask you this question. What is the best advice that you ever received, and why?
Okay. So when I went to EMT school, my instructor told us, use fear as your motivator. I know it sounds super ghastly, but like when you're in the field and you need to save someone, you need to have, that fear in you, of losing someone, right? To help you do anything that you can to save that person's life. So I always think about that what he said, use fear as our motivator. I know it's like super like depressing sounding, but I kind of use it as a tool because fear is a very powerful tool. Like it can cripple you, like, and it could like leave you, in a worse bad condition. But you can also use it to motivate you, to go outside your comfort zone and help you evolve into greatness. So that's something that I always think about every time I'm like reluctant to doing something. I always do that because honestly, in the end too, like you feel like better as a person because you feel like you took that next step and like I said, you evolved. So yeah, that's some good advice that I've heard from.
I love it. In fact, actually, in my office here, that you can't see, but there's a sign that says "Feel the fear and do it anyway," and really just kind of using that same kind of advice is like using fear towards your advantage. So on the same page there, Stevie. All right, next up, what is one personal habit that you've acquired that's really helped you be successful?
Being an owl. So if you're taking the take flight test, so that's what I was characterized as. I actually owl dove. So I'm like super analytical in nature. So I use data, all that stuff to help me solve problems. Like I do in when I work on ads. So if I see some numbers that are going one way, I can use that to help, obviously, use that to help them, solve whatever problem they're having. In my real life, I'm super like organized and meticulous, and I'm borderline like OCD, but I also like to work with my hands a lot. So I'm like very technical. So I work on my computer, I work on my car, things like that. So I think those are some of the habits that kind of help me in what I do.
Yeah, and that's a good point, actually, for you viewers at home. If you haven't heard of the company Take Flight Learning, we're actually having the CEO, his name's Merrick, kind of join the show at some point soon. It's booked a couple months away. But there's 4 personality traits. It's actually using the DISC profile, which is very common. And Take Flight kind of uses the analogies of the birds. And the owl, I believe, is the C, conscientious, which is analytical in nature. And I think, to your credit, Stevie, and I think that, again, this is like one of your zone of genius, to be able to look at numbers, look at spreadsheets, because that is a really big aspect of really from a marketing campaign, making sure the numbers stick. You review the numbers, and that way you know how to pivot and really take future action. So I definitely think, and I'm glad you brought that up from a habit perspective, but I also think it's really what's made you be a successful marketer. Yep. All right. Last, I got a few more questions left, but okay. Firm believer in leaders are readers. So what would be one book that you would recommend to the fitness franchise nation, and why?
Don't get mad at me at this, because this is like, I don't know how many people have said this book, but obviously Man Up by Bejos Kulian, our CEO. I'm not getting paid to say that. I honestly just think that you guys, especially if you're an entrepreneur, getting into business, because it just shows you the journey that someone takes to building an empire, and also along with that, just a lot of strong business and life lessons that kind of help you getting started in creating a business, or building or creating a gym. But that book, honestly, it's true, like everything you need to, it's not like a fiction-based story. Yeah, just read it, and I think you can definitely learn a lot from it if you're creating your franchise. If that's what you want to do.
Yeah, totally. Or business, or doing anything, really challenging in life. And incredible book. I would second you on that. And it's funny, B was on the show a little while ago, and I asked him what his favorite book recommendation, but I said, you can't actually call out Man Up, but I'm going to make that recommendation for you. So his was a different one, but received. And certainly, audience, if you haven't read that book, Man Up, now is the time. All right. Finally, the last but certainly not least, Stevie, this has been awesome, man. You're an incredible soul and provide a lot of value to our audience, specific to the marketing realm, what to look out for, what skill sets you need, and really what your focus needs to be. What would one piece of parting wisdom or advice you give our audience be, from your perspective, really to better their lot in life, better themselves in the careers, professional, or just life in general?
I think, always be learning. I think that's the biggest thing. I said this before in the podcast, but I think you just have to have that yearn to learn for more knowledge, because like if you just be stagnant, you're just, everything's gonna, especially in this world, everything's moving at such a fast rate that you just can't stay still. So if you're trying to get into, fitness, or, whatever career you want to do, I think always be learning. There's a lot of resources that you can utilize online, join Facebook groups. You can even join, subreddit groups of any interest you want. There's so much information online that you can use. So always be out there, learn, and, I think that's the biggest thing. Learning. Always be learning. Advice. Lifelong student.
Sage advice, lifelong student. Love it, Stevie. So on that note, I want to thank you for being on the show, and I want to take a second to acknowledge you. Stevie, we've been working together side by side for the last few years now, and I want to say, man, you are all heart, you are all care. Aside from all the incredible marketing skills that you've learned and acquired over the years, I think first and foremost what sets you apart is you have a heart of gold that just really cares about other people, and that shows. So I want to acknowledge you for that. I also just want to acknowledge you for being on the show and sharing your wisdom, because I know I got better today, our audience got better, so I want to thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Bryce, man. Appreciate working with you, man.
You too. Thanks, Stevie. Have a good one, buddy.